School uniform is a uniform worn by students for a school or for an educational institutions. In some countries like Germany, their students can wear anything they like when they go to school. But in our country, Malaysia, school uniforms are compulsory for all students who attend public schools. School uniforms are almost completely standardized throughout the country, with the only differentiating factor being is the school badge. Using standard uniform can help to save money needed to buy extra clothes to impress others at school. Besides, school uniforms are also thought to improve discipline and school spirits. In Malaysia, there are various brands of school uniforms sold such as Canggih, Black Cat, President Unicorn and so on. But in this video, we would like to explain and present about Canggih brands. Among these three leading brands, Canggih is a well-known brand compared to others because of its high-quality fabric, comes with many types, size and colors of school uniform and also in line with the price offered. For example, they sell various colors of baju kurung such as yellow, brown, pink, and purple. Besides, they also come in various types of fabric such as chiffon and cotton.
In addition, Canggih products can easily get at Giant, Tesco, TF Value Mart and so on. Canggih baju kurung can be bought starting from RM29.90 to RM34.90 and Canggih pinafore can be bought starting from RM29.90 to RM35.90. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, demand for school uniforms soared, especially at the end of each year, as many parents wanted to buy new school uniform for their children who wanted to enter school next year. But since the outbreak of COVID-19 2 years ago, the demand for school uniform is declining.
Next is the summary of the microeconomic issue. Microeconomics is a branch of economics which studies the behavior and decision of individual entities, such as households, firms, and markets. Microeconomics studies the way in which individual markets work, the detailed way in which regulations and taxes affects the allocation of labor and goods and services. In economics, society is faced with scarce factors of production. Society must make choices when trying to satisfy their unlimited wants or desires. They must use these scarce resources wisely and efficiently without wastage. There are three basic economic concepts, which are scarcity, choice, and opportunity cost. Scarcity. Scarcity happens due to limited resources and unlimited human wants. When resources of goods are limited, the situation of scarcity arises. If human wants are unlimited, that means there are simply not enough goods and services to satisfy them. For example, people had to choose between Canggih or Dexwin brands when they want to buy a school uniform for their kids. Dexwin brand usually offered a higher price than Canggih brand, and because of that, people had to make a choice between these two if they face a limited funds. So, due to scarcity, people must make the best choice possible. People must decide the best choice possible after considering the best alternative. People must choose what to produce and who gets the final product. For instance, when people choose to buy Canggih school uniform, they will have to forget their desire to buy Dexwin school uniform because of limited funds. In this case, Dexwin school uniform will be the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is defined as the number of a good forgone or the second best alternative and its benefit that is given up to make the best choice to maximize their unlimited wants. For example, people want to buy both school uniform from Changi and Daxwin, but they had to choose either one due to limited funds. If people choose to purchase Changi school uniform, their opportunity cost is the Daxwin school uniform that needs to be forgone or sacrificed.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about analysis of demand and analysis of supply. First is analysis of demand. Demand is a consumer's ability and willingness to buy goods or services in a period of time at a specific place. While other things remain constants, the change in price of a good will affect the quantity demanded. According to the law of demand, there is a negative relationship between the quantity demanded and the price of the good itself. The first one is the price of school uniform. There are many determinants of demand. One of them is price of the good itself. When price of school uniform increase, the quantity demand will decrease. It will cause a movement along the demand curve. This is a negative relationship. This is an example of change in quantity demanded when price increases. It shows that when the price of school uniform increase from P0 to P1, the quantity demanded decrease from Q0 to Q1. Consequently, there will be contraction in demand. The second one is price of substitute good. Change in the price of related good can also influence the demand. One of the related goods is substitute good. Substitute good can be defined as a good that has the same purpose as the other good. For example, substitute for Changi school uniform is Daxwin school uniform. When the price of Daxwin school uniform increase, the demand for Changi school uniform will increase. This is the positive relationship. This is the example, change in demand when price of Daxwin school uniform increase. The quantity demanded for Changi school uniform increases from Q0 to Q1, with the price being constant at P0. The demand curve will shift to the right from D0 to D1. The third is consumers' preferences. Apart from that, consumer preferences also can affect the quantity demanded at school uniform. One's preferences can be influenced by what consumers know about the product, how the product is advertised, trend. For example, when a consumer changes a preference in school uniform from using Daxwin school uniform to Changi school uniform due to information he gets about the product, there are many factors that can be affect someone's preferences, such as price, recommendation from friends or family, and the effectiveness in its use. Thus, he will buy more Changi school uniform. Thus, the demand for Daxwin school uniform decrease. This is example for change in demand when consumers' preferences change. This is shown with the price of the Daxwin school uniform remains constant at P0, the quantity demand will decrease Q0 to Q1. The demand curve shift leftward from D0 to D1. Next is consumers' income. This year we are having a pandemic COVID-19 and many people lost their jobs and there are people that wages are cut by the company. As the consumers' income decrease, the demand for Changi will also decrease, therefore it will make the demand curve shift leftward. So this is an example for a change in demand when consumers' income. It shows that the demand curve for Changi school uniform is leftward shift from D0 to D1, while the price is constant P0. This shows that the quantity for Changi decreased from D0 to D1. Analysis of supply. The definition of supply is producer's willingness and ability to supply goods and services at a different price, place, and time range, ceteris paribus. The law of supply states that when prices of goods itself increase, the quantity supply will also increase. It shows that the price of goods and quantity demanded are positive relationship. The first one is level of technology. To produce Changi school uniform, a higher level of technology are being used. With higher level of technology, it will reduce the cost of production. Therefore, supply of Changi school uniform will increase and will lead the supply curve to shift rightwards. This is an example of change in supply curve when level of technology increases. As it is shown that the supply curve for Changi school uniform is rightward shift from S0 to S1, while price is contains P0. This shows that the quantity supply for Changi increased from Q0 to Q1. The second one is producer's expectation of future prices. If the producer of Changi anticipate that the future price of Changi will increase, then he will take that opportunity to supply less at that present time. Therefore, it will decrease the supply of the Changi. This is the example of change in supply curve when producers expect future prices of school uniform increase. It is shown that the supply curve for Changi is leftwards shift from S0 to S1, while price is contains P0. This shows that the quantity supply for Changi at present time is decreased from Q0 to Q. Next is cost and availability of the factors of production. When the cost of the production to supply Changi increase, thus it will decrease the profit of supplies and reducing the supply of Changi school uniform, and the supply curve will shift to leftward. So this is an example of change in supply curve when the cost and availability of the factor of production increase. It is shown that the supply curve for Changi school uniform is leftward shift from S0 to S1, while price is contains P0. This is show that the quantity supply for Changi school uniform decreased from Q0 to Q1.
Okay, the last one is analysis of market equilibrium. What is market equilibrium? Market equilibrium is when buyers and sellers meet together to make decisions on the goods and services to purchase and sell in the market. The market is a place whereby both sellers and buyers interact to determine the equilibrium price and quantity of goods and services exchanged. Market equilibrium, known as a condition where quantity demanded and quantity supplied are equal. It is a situation when buyers are willing to buy goods and services, meanwhile sellers are willing to sell the goods and services. Market equilibrium is a stability point since the equilibrium price and quantity are determined and there will be no tendency for both price and quantity to change. Surplus. Surplus occurs when quantity demanded is less than quantity supplied. This problem happens when the price is above the equilibrium price. When price is located above the equilibrium price, there will be a downward pressure for the price to reduce towards the equilibrium position. Because of this COVID-19 pandemic, there are many goods that experience surplus, including school uniform, where students no longer wear school uniform to attend school face-to-face. Instead, they need to attend classes online. there are two effects when price decrease toward the equilibrium price. The first effect is when price decrease, the buyer will increase their demand since the price has become cheaper and quantity demand will increase towards the equilibrium quantity. The second effect is the sellers will reduce their supply since they gain no profit as the price has reduced. The quantity supplied will reduce toward the equilibrium quantity. Based on this figure, it shows that surplus occurs when quantity demanded is less than quantity supplied. This figure explains that if the price of Changi school uniform is at Rm35 ringgit, quantity demanded is 50,000 units and quantity supplied is 100,000 units. There will be a surplus of 50,000 units. Effects of changes in demand, supply, and market equilibrium. The demand of Changi school uniform decreases due to decrease in consumers' income and the price of goods. The supply also decreased due to a decrease in the number of school uniform suppliers. Based on this figure, it shows that demand curve and supply curve for Changi school uniform will shift leftwards proportionately when demand and supply decrease. The equilibrium quantity will decrease from Q0 to Q1. Meanwhile, the equilibrium price remains unchanged at P1 equal to P0. Thus, the original equilibrium level changes from E0 to E1.
My name is ARFAH IZZATI binti MUHAMMAD FAHDIN. My ID number is 2020838732. So I'm going to talk about effect of COVID-19 on school uniform. First of all, public areas such as schools are closed as a part of the team to control the spread of the coronavirus, so that individuals may stay at home and prevent further transmission. Social distance, event size limitation, and home isolation are some of the measures used to reduce the spread of infection. By closing schools, allow individuals to limit their connection with others. Many schools are changed to the online platform to continue their regularization. This will give a big impact to the demand and supply for school uniform from Changi company. Here is the effect on demand of the Changi school uniform. The demand curve for Changi school uniform moved from right to the left. This shows the quantity of demand decreased at the same price. This is because of two reasons. First, students just sit at home and wearing a casual wear for entering the online class. And the second reason is majority of the parents are involved in financial problem due to MCO. So this is make parents will not satisfied to buy school uniform for their children. So they're more focused on the necessary goods. Next, this is the effect on supply of Changi school uniform. The supply curve for Changi school uniform show move from the right to the left. They show the quantity of supply decrease at the same price. The Changi company had to bear the losses and will have problem on bearing other production costs. Majority of workers were fired because Changi company want to reduce the cost of paying workers' salaries during MCO. The Changi company will face a decline in revenue for the short term of the COVID-19 situation. Thank you.
In my conclusion, I can conclude that nowadays a school uniform is not useful as before. This is because pandemic COVID-19 occurred throughout the world.
Many children were only having their online classes while they can easily wear a casual attire rather than a school uniform when they were at home. From here, we can see that the demand keep decreasing due to consumer income and price of goods. This has happened when a lot of people losing their job and some other people their wage were cut by the company. This will make them poor and did not have enough money to buy the school uniform for their children. On the other hand, a supplier also keep decreasing due to a reduction in the number of supply for school uniform. For example, when Changi producer expect that the price of Changi will be increased in future, then it will be lead to an expansion to supply less. Because of this factor, a scarcity will be happen. A consumer must choose the best choice after considering the best alternative. For example, when people choose to buy Changi school uniform, they have to forget their desire to buy a NAJWA school uniform because of limited fund. In this case, a NAJWA school uniform will be the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is defined as a number of a good foregone and the second best alternative, and it's given out to make the best choice to maximize their unlimited ones. Thank you for your time to listening to our video presentation.